3, 2, 1, go. I'm gonna do a little like monologue just to give it a little breakdown. So I'm gonna be doing a coaching session with my man Erzal. Erzal, say hello.
Hello, I'm Erzal.
Erzal's a student of mine in the Kentucky Discord, where we have like higher level players or like masters players coaching up with players that are like diamond and below. And Erzal has chosen me. Well, kind of chosen me as like a mentor in this process. And so what we're going to be doing is covering a couple things in this little syllabus that I made. And we're going to be trying to kind of keep it in like 30-minute chunks. That way he's not overloaded. But today we're mainly going to be talking about a couple things. Let me zoom in. So these are a couple little topics that we'll be doing. So it's first thing is going to be knowing your character and Street Fighter 6 mechanics. So it's going to deal with a lot of like definitions. And then today hopefully we're going to get to neutral basics and bread and butter offense, and then maybe some defense. I've already given Erzal some options to like practice, so he's already practiced a lot of these and shown a good amount of understanding on that. So I don't want to delve too much into it, and I kind of want to make it short and sweet. I've been learning another character as well to kind of like test the mettle of this kind of learning, and so far, it's been pretty good. I've got some notes down for that, and I can show it some other time. But yeah, this is what the topics will be. It's knowing your character, neutral basics, defense, Oki basics, punishing your opponent, adaptations in the mental stack, creating your game plan, and then for ed only, advanced ed techniques, and then finally how to VOD review. When I first met with them, I gave them an introduction assignment of like, what are your goals, strengths and weaknesses, but that's just a little thing right there. So now we're going to start with knowing your character. So let me go back to the screen here, and we're going to be doing some definitions. Right, so I know it's not fun to just like focus on like, okay, well, definitions, this just seems very remedial, but I feel like it's very important to not only know what to do, but why you do it. Okay. So the first one we're gonna go over, and it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, but burnout. So Erzal, can you give me your understanding, or what do you think burnout means? Or like what can you define it for me?
So when someone's burnt out, they have lost all their meter. They recover slower, so like you're more positive when you hit them. Mm-hmm. They take chip damage from your special moves, special normals, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So why would burnout be a good thing that you want to kind of force your opponent, or why would it be a good thing for you to have your opponent in burnout?
Because then you have stuff that you can hit more with frame advantage, like stuff that normally wouldn't work, you can turn into block strings, and because they're burnt out, and just force them to hold the block. They also don't have their meter to, like, let's say they have a DP, they can't just ODDP it to get out of certain situations. Mm-hmm. And it just lets you put more pressure on them.
Got it. Yeah. So so I'm using super combos, like glossary. Burnout is when the drive gauge is empty. The fighter will enter burnout and will not be able to use drive-related techniques until the bar at the top of their screen, the green bar is, or the gray bar has filled up the meter all the way up to back to like the beginning. Okay. So as you see right here, yeah, it takes a while. So things that can make your drive gauge come back faster is if you like hit your opponent or walking forward. If you're walking back, you can see it's a little bit slower, but when you're going forward, it's a little bit faster. And so as you can see right there, it's like one of those things where you typically are going to want to be in a defensive posture, right? But at the same time, if you want to get out of it quicker, you got to find your openings and just like take as much as you can safely, right? And so like you said, yeah, it makes it to where things are safer. So like right here, this will normally be -6, right? Or this would be -5, but it's actually -1 in burnout, right? And then this will be -2 in burnout, so it's a lot harder for them to punish. Other moves that become a lot safer are like this one, this one, this one, and then even jab is 3 frames, right? You get 3 extra frames. So why do you want to get your opponent to burnout? Well, obviously anybody that's played this game a good amount is you can get a nice little stun combo. Let me see why my controls are not being what they want to be. Oh yeah, because I'm gonna burn out though. So like that's what I'm kind of describing is like a win condition. Like you don't necessarily win, but it's like an alternative win condition because you can get them to the corner and then stun them for a big combo. And then not only that, but you get Oki right after it too. Okay. The other thing, I kind of showed it right here, is drive impact. Okay, so in your words, what is drive impact?
Drive impact?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an armored move that will hit the opponent through their moves unless they break it with either their own drive impact, 3 hits, or a grab.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, do you know how many hits you can take before it breaks the armor?
It's 3, right? Like, you take 2 and on the 3rd it breaks?
Yes. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind, right? So another way to break is doing like a super, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a riskier call out, but like it's a harder call out, and you also got to make sure that you can time it right. But the reason why like drive impact's like a really good option to like use is because it gives you like a simple advantage. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is if you do it too much, you're gonna be burning 1 drive bar. In addition, if your opponent counters your drive impact, you kind of drive gauge is lost, right? So like it's 1 to activate, and if you lose it, you lose almost 2.
Right.
Okay. It's really good, like we were shown earlier, when you're in the corner because you can get a stun combo. Right? So one thing to note is when they're in the in the corner, this is a very minor thing, but when you drive impact, there's 2 different things that can happen, and that it affects how much damage you can do. So if they are blocking versus not blocking, they take more damage. Right? So let me just do
I'm assuming that's because if you hit them and they're not blocking, it scales the damage you do afterwards.
So right there, it scaled it harder. So it did 2279 versus 2870. So that's something to kind of keep in mind for like when you're on the receiving end of burnout. So like sometimes, say if you have like a lot of health, kind of in this instance, Guy has a lot of health. Sometimes it's better to just, if you don't have a specific card, because most of the time they won't be able to do a lot of damage.
Right.
Now, the next definition is going to be drive reversal. So, do you know what a drive reversal is, or what it is basically?
I think it's kind of like an invincible reversal type move out of block stun or like on Wake Up as well. I'm less familiar with it. It's like forward plus the drive impact button to activate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing too is look at your drive gauge. Right? It costs 2 bars to do it. So the thing about it is when you're drive gauge, like when you're drive reversing somebody, you're getting to be able to reset in neutral, and it's really good to stop opponent's pressure. However, one thing that is important to notice is, let's put Guile to where he drive reversals. Okay, which is my I like it to do it on... Sorry, I'm trying to get it to where, okay, let's see. Well, I'll just have him with Pit or something. Yeah, I'll just have him do that. So.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is this for the video you're doing, or am I supposed to be able to see this right now?
For the video.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I don't have a way that I can currently stream it to you, but it's gonna be
Gotcha.
a video, and it'll have like the examples for it.
All good.
Come on now. So let me do it there this time. Alright, there we go. I thought I recorded it. It's hard to set this up. So yeah, we try to find an easier way of setting it up here. So that's the other thing too, is like the negative side of drive reversal, right? Is you end up being -6 if you drive reverse a little bit too late, and that puts you in a state where you can be punished countering. So sorry that took a little bit too long, but it's one of the few reversal options that you have. It's universal. So just gotta keep in mind it's 20 frames. Okay, it's 20 frames, and
Okay.
if it's blocked, it's -6. So yeah, but it can reversal out whole lots of stuff, projectiles, you name it. The only thing it can't do is supers. So
Okay.
like, there's certain things too. But I think just mainly supers. But yeah, if I was like Ed doing his level 2, you can drive reversal down. Like if they're like on you and you just drive reversal it and it can go away.
Okay.
All right.
Good to know.
Next thing is drive parry. I know I've kind of alluded to it. This is like my favorite button. It's what is drive parry?
So that would be parrying a move. It'll parry highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
It loses to grabs. And there are also perfect parries where you act quicker out of them. And if I'm not wrong, it also builds your drive gauge back up each time it's hit.
Yes. So it builds it up based on like the type of moves, right? So right there, like a light, like one of these does like a little bit less, right, than what a heavy punch does. However, one thing to keep in mind too is like when you're holding it. So let me just show Guile doing it for like tap parry, which is like something that people will do. Like you said, you're correct. You're going to be in a lot of, all that blue is just recovery frames. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, it's 44 frames minus 12 minus 9. Or 12, 44 minus 12. So 32 frames of just, you're in recovery, which means you can get punish counted. So that's why, like, you'll see people, like, a lot of times if they, parry, people will come up and grab them, and then you get a punish counter throw, which, something to keep in mind, right? When you get a punish counter throw, it's more than, like, the typical regular throw, right? So regular throw is typically 1,200. Punish counter throw is 2,000. And so how many throws would you be able to get? How many punish counter throws would you be able to get before you win?
Okay, so that's something I don't know is the like health value
So
in this game.
most characters are going to be 10,000. There are a handful that are not. They're going to be Geef, Marissa, Akuma, and I think Honda. Honda, Geef, Marissa all have 10,500, whereas Akuma has 9K.
Okay, so most characters, if you got 5 punish counters throws on them, it would be game.
Yes.
But then just a select few, Geef, Honda, and Marissa, specifically, I think you said, be just a little bit more than that.
Yeah. So, like, we'll just do the math. 2040 times 5 is going to be 10,200, right? So, it won't kill the heavier bodies, but even then, you're not going to be just getting a grab for them every time.
Yeah.
So, the other one that you mentioned was drive parry, right? Can cause a perfect parry, which it changes frame data based on the move, but typically you're going to have a lot of frame advantage to where you can do a lot of different moves. There's only like a few exceptions, so like multi-hits. Let me see if I can get him to block. Or get perfect parry. One of these. Yeah. If you perfect parry, like for instance, one that I parry quite often is Jamie's like heavy punch. The only option that you can do during that is just a jab to like beat it.
Okay.
So certain multi hits, if you perfect parry the first one, you always can jab. But most other ones you can just do like a full-on heavy punch, like a heavy punch or whatever. But the thing about it is, if you perfect parry something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get it. You're gonna have major scaling.
Okay.
See how little that did? So it's about half of like the normal combo for you. So whenever you do get a perfect parry, the typical mindset you want to have, this is kind of getting into like future stuff with like game plan, but whenever it comes to like perfect parries, I typically want to go for good Oki or corner carry, right?
Right.
Reason being is you're not going to do a lot of damage, so there's no reason to burn your drive gauge. So it's best to just get yourself in a situation where you are at an advantage and your opponent is not. So like anything that'll deal with like safe jumps or like a good strike throw mix up.
And I'm also assuming it depends where like you are on the screen as well. Like let's say you're backed into a corner, maybe it's better to just back throw them and put them in that corner.
Exactly, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good, very good. And then the last thing, and probably the most important, is going to be the drive gauge. So, drive gauge, I'm sure you're aware, you get 6 bars of that, and ways for the drive gauge. So I told you a long time ago, or a couple weeks ago, is like there's 2 separate win conditions, right? There is one that will win you the game, which is get your opponent's health to 0, and the other one is something that will, it's kind of like a side quest. Get your opponent's drive gauge down. So the way you do that is by either them using drive gauge, you hitting moves on their block, or hitting them with supers. So like each super does a bit of drive gauge damage. So level 1 doesn't do a whole lot. Level 2 does like a minimal amount. But for Eds, it's weird. They've changed it where it no longer does it throughout like the move. It only does it at the last hit or the last move. So if they like fall out, you don't burn any of their drive gauge. And then level 3, that one does the most. It typically does like a bar. And so the side quest that you want is to get them burnt out, and another side quest is get them to the corner. Now these aren't necessarily essential to winning, but if you play enough, you'll realize, okay, I have a better chance of winning whenever my opponent is in the corner, so that's one objective, or burnout. So that's kind of like the basic bits of the mechanic. Now, I'm pretty sure you know most of Ed's moves, right? But we'll kind of briefly go over them.
Mm-hmm.
So every character has a 4-frame jab. Ed's are his light punch and crouching light punch. Okay. So on hit, it's gonna be, for the first 2, it'll be a true combo. So you can string together that, right? So the first 2, that's only on hit, but if it's on block, it's not a true combo, or not a true block string. So his is going to be -1 on block. So let me turn that off. Right, so -1 on block. This is also -3 on block. So something we kind of didn't really cover, but it'll be something that'll be what we talk about quite often, is frame data, right? So how familiar, I know you played Strive, so you're probably pretty familiar with frame data.
Yes.
We mentioned how this is a 4-frame normal, so
yep.
How much frames can you have to be considered quote unquote safe?
So anything up to like the enemy's fastest move, which you said is 4 frames, correct?
Yes.
So it's like around -3, maybe -4. Usually I'd go for the -3, but just because that brings you back to actionable before their move would hit you and you could still block.
So yeah, what I'm showing on my screen, which you'll be able to see it later, I'm alternating between light punch and crouching light kick. Crouching light kick is -4. Okay. It's a 5-frame startup. It's really long. It's one of the farthest like light kicks, like crouching light kicks in the game. But they've also made it to where it's -4. So typically, if you have a move that's -3, you are quote unquote safe to throw it out but not safe to follow up with another move.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Those moves typically will have a lot more recovery or not enough block stun, which on the screen there's two different things that you can see, that blue being recovery at the bottom of the screen and yellow being like block stun. Okay. So those are his lights. There's also light kick, which is -3, so it's okay to do that for the first 2 hits. So his light kicks 1, 2. They're both -3. However, if you do the full target combo, it's -8. So it's really risky to do that. The next moves are going to be his mediums. His medium is -1 on block, and it's going to be +6 on hit, right? So, what does that mean to you if something has +6?
That would mean that you could take that and hit another move that is, I want to say 6 frames less. It might be 5 frames less.
No, it'll be 6 frames. Yeah.
I thought it was 6, but I was like, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah.
So yeah. So for instance, if you happen to land a standing medium punch, if you don't go for the target combo, which will automatically connect, right? You can do standing medium punch, crouching light kick.
Okay.
And both of those are cancelable, right? That's something else I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
So back to like the lights real quick. His jab, his standing jab is cancelable, which will be like in training mode. You can see that with like a red, your character turning red. And then his crouching light kick and his standing light kick are both not canceled. Or his crouching light punch and standing light kick are not cancelable. So back to Ed's mediums. So, or before we go to the mediums, I forget one more thing. So this is what I would consider on like the syllabus I sent you, is close quarters, right? So his lights are going to be his close quarters, which he's generally going to be weak.
Right.
That being said, it's still important because you're going to have a lot of times where you'll get a good Oki, and then you'll kill rush, and then boom, you're right in their face for a strike throw mix-up. Typically, when you are in those offensive situations, it's kind of best to go for light punch or crouching light punch, because crouching light kick is -4, right? So that's something to keep in mind. His light kick's a really good move, and it should be used in his game. But as the game will develop, people will be like, oh yeah, that move's -4. We can punish that if it's on block.
Right.
So that's why sometimes you'll see people do like light kicking to light blitz. Just because light blitz will punch them back a little bit farther, especially if you're at the max range, or sometimes if they try to jab the light kick, and it's like really far away, sometimes their jab will just like trade with the trade or get beat out by the blitz because it's cancelable.
Okay.
So down to the mediums. These are his more mid, or in one instance, long range options. So like we said, his target combo is like one of his staple bread and butters. So like a lot of times you want to do target combo into quarter circle back heavy blitz, because you get that safe jump. So no matter whether they tech roll forward or tech roll back or tech roll in place, it doesn't matter. Right, so so whether they recover backwards or if they recover in place, you still get that safe. And this target combo is like one of those, like target combo into heavy blitz is like one of those like bread and butter mid to close quarter options that you'll want to do. Now, you won't want to do it if they're blocking. And and the reason being
Okay.
is because heavy blitz is really, really punishable. It is minus 12. So heavy punches,
Yeah.
you'll get a big punish counter. So that's why you'll see people, if they notice that their opponent's on block from like the hit confirming of the target combo, you'll see them do one of two things, which will be the light spark or light blitz. I personally like spark because it has like a window where the only thing that they can do is jab. You can do spark 1, right, to kind of condition them to like, okay, you're gonna have to eat it, because if you look at the yellow bar, it's a true block string, which means they can't mash anything through that. So you can do spark 1 and then condition them to, okay, if they want to mash a button, or you see that they mash a button, you can do spark 2, where they have to press a 4 or 5 frame normal that can reach in order to punish that. Otherwise, they get counter hit. Okay. Another one of his medium punch options is his crouching medium punch, which is a low. It's his only cancelable low, which is important, because the game is low into drive rush is like the name of the game for a lot of characters.
Okay.
On block, it's going to be -6 though. Most lows typically will be about that frame data. So like Ken's crouching medium kick, if you're like really good about blocking their low kick, you can punish it with a 5 frame or 6 frame, if it has enough reach. Okay, but that's his punches, his kicks. We're going to talk about the God button, your favorite button, standing medium kick. So this is your mid to long range option, and this is kind of where you want to be with this character. You want to be at that standing medium kick range, because you can apply really good pressure. The thing about standing medium kick though is they've nerfed him to where he has more recovery on whiff. So if it's on block, it's -5. Definitely really hard to punish unless they're like right up on you or like whatever. But typically if it's max space, it's not going to be that big of a thing to worry about. And so you can use that to create something called frame traps. And what that is catching your opponent in like a situation where they are mashing a button and you're beating it out because you're outspacing them, and you're able to punish them. I need to delete that. So let me see if I can find it. It's kind of hard to punish jabs, so I'll put him with medium punch here, which is really easy. So yeah, a frame trap is something where you don't necessarily have frame advantage, but if your opponent mashes a button that doesn't like hit you, you can throw out an option and either get a counter hit or punish counter, depending on what move you're using and what spacing they're at. Okay. And medium kick is the one that kind of helps facilitate that, because you can just throw that and then throw a flicker, which is another good thing. However, flicker off of medium kick is not safe.
Okay.
It doesn't have as much safety as like a heavy punch, right? Heavy punch is like if you're wanting to burn their drive gauge, which is the objective we were talking about. It's best to do heavy punch into flicker because they can't drive impact through that. Which is one of the things that Ed will really lose to. Okay. The other kick option, which is another really good option, is Ed's crouching medium kick. And this is something I haven't ever seen you use. But it's a really good move, especially at a distance. It's also kind of like heavy punch, where you can crouching medium kick and then do a light flicker, and it's a true block string. Something else too is off of like things like counter hits. So like for instance, whenever we were talking about the what's it called? Frick. What was I just saying? Sorry, this won't look good on the video, but it'll be all right. Frame traps. So if, like, for instance, you're like catching someone with a frame trap, it's a really long move that can punish people, and it can also hit confirm into itself. So it's a lot easier to get like good damaging far-reaching combos that gets you like, into your main bread and butters.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like the OD,
Yeah.
like the OD flicker into like DP heavy throws. The other thing too is it's really safe. So like off of a drive rush, for example, it's going to be +3, which is really good. Most of Ed's moves are going to be, you know, +3 for like a really long move is great. So like if someone's like trying to zone far away, you block it and then you drive rush in and they try to press something again, you can drive rush in and then like hit them with that and then possibly get them in a frame trap or catch them catch them match. Both of these moves are like what you're gonna rely a lot on in neutral because of how far they can reach. Another option you can do that I get a lot of mileage out of is by doing like a neutral jump. It catches people to a lot of times walking up without trying to anti-air you. Right, so you can do jumping medium kick into crouching medium kick and then get a good combo because the crouching medium kick is one of the few moves that combos into open kick. What you want to do.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the normals, or that's the mediums. And then now we're going to get to the heavy or fierce, whatever you prefer to call them. So the other one that you want to kind of use in neutral at that spacing, although it requires you to be a little closer, is that standing heavy kick. It's 11 frames. It also has the ability to charge up to Psycho Knuckle, as we talked about the other day. It can be cancelled into with Kill Rush, which is one of his specials. But this is like the move that you want to hit, whether it be a punish counter, whether it be like a counter hit. You know,
Okay.
This is the move that kind of gets you up to a whole lot. Right. The other heavy kick, or the other heavy standing is his heavy kick. It's not often used, but it's a really good anti-air, and it's also really good for pressure. Right, so like you're able to hit people in the air with it. It's got a pretty good hitbox. Even if they're like right on top of you, as long as they don't throw moves, you can hit them. But like it has really long reach. However, if you hit them in the air and they're not throwing a move, so like if you like counter hit them rather than like hitting like getting an aerial juggle, you won't be able to like combo into it. But if you, for instance, catch him with like a punish counter, you can hit him with like certain moves. But only if they like throw out a move, you know what I mean? So like think of like Kim's, actually let me show here with Guile here. But yeah, certain moves that can combo into them if like it's like a command normal in the air or something like that. But yeah, that's one of his primary anti-airs, other than like DC or jumping heavy kick.
Yeah.
The crouching. So there's two different ones. There's a sweep, which is a decent sweep. It's got decent range. It's frame 10, and it puts him in a hard knockdown. And you're familiar with what a hard knockdown is, right?
It means rather than like where they're techable, it just doesn't give them that option.
Yeah, they can't tech. Correct. The thing about sweeps, though, universally in this game, sweeps are very minus. So like if you, if like your opponent hits you with a sweep, you can punish them pretty hard. Some sweeps are like very tricky though, because they're like get you really far away, like Bison's one of them. But generally speaking, like, his sweep is pretty decent. I've still not figured out when I want to use sweeps, but I talked with Sniffles, and one thing he said is like if your opponent is just like walking back a ton, or like throwing a move and then walking back, that's like typically like a good time to like throw a sweep.
Okay.
So like if Guile's like just like trying to walk back and like throw buttons, it's typically good to throw like a sweep out like that, and then it gets you a hard knockdown, and you can dash up and then like get the strike throw mix up on it. The last option, the last normal that he has, or she has two more now. Excuse me. He's got forward heavy punch. That's a forward advancing normal. It's -3, so it's relatively safe. You can space it out to where it's a little bit safer, but that's like really, really tight. You can get it to where it's like -2 or -1.
Okay.
But the cool thing about this button is it can go over low moves and projectiles. So, if like someone's trying to like throw out like a low at you, you can hit them with that and it'll go over it, and like either counter hit or like counter hit if they're mashing, or counter if they're like just in recovery. So it has that ability to go over low profiling moves, which is really great. It is not special cancelable or anything, whereas like heavy punch and heavy kick.
Right.
And the last one is crouching heavy kick. Think of this one as like a slightly longer version of standing medium kick.
Okay.
It doesn't have true block strings, other than like light blitz, right? But it's a really good option to catch people like trying to like throw moves that are like really far out of your range. It also has a target combo into it that has the ability to be super cancelled, so you can super cancel into all 3 of your supers.
Okay.
They got a lot of scaling now, so it is just something that you can catch people with it. I don't think I've ever hit anyone with a super off of this, so
I would assume, like, with the damage scaling too, it would be more niche situations. Like, if you hit them and they were lower and you knew you could pick the round or the game or whatever, maybe you want to, but...
Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of mediocre. I would say this is just speculation here, wee speculation. They might adjust it in the future to make this target combo a little bit more viable. But a lot of times, if I just hit someone with a crouching heavy kick, I'm going to try to go for like a medium blitz or a light flicker. So that's all of his normals. Now we'll get into his specials real quick. So the first one is his Fireball. It has 2 properties. It has 2 inputs, right? So the first one is like the one that cancel like other projectiles, and then you can have it to where it'll throw one back. And there's 3 different variants: light being slowest, and then like heavy being the fastest. It's 12 frames, so it's not the greatest, but it's something. It's really good for like catching people that are like trying to do fireball wars against you. You also have an OD version, which same thing. It's able to cancel out one and then throw one back. And it'll have multiple hits. So typically, if you see someone like throwing an OD, you can throw an OD back and beat them out. The next special is his Flicker. This is like the money maker. This is the Spider-Man. He's got 3 versions. He's got his light, medium, and his heavy kicks. So it's just quarter circle, forward, light, medium, or heavy. Light is 16 frames. Think of this as like another projectile. So like say you're like in that range for like a standing medium kick. You also have flicker to be like, okay, if they're not willing to get into your standing medium kick range, you just throw that out there to kind of tell them like, hey, you gotta respect this. The downside to that is if they catch on to that habit, they can just jump in and punish you because it has a lot of recovery. It has 26 frames of recovery for the light one. The other one has 28 frames, but it's a lot longer. You can almost full screen hit them with it. And another cool thing that you can do is, say like someone's trying to throw a fireball, if you it has the ability to be charged up and catch them. Like it'll beat it out because it'll have 2 hits. So the way that it kind of works is like projectiles. If you throw a projectile that has 1 hitbox and you counter it with 1 hitbox, it just cancels it, right? Whereas if you throw a projectile that has 2 hitboxes, which typically OBs will, it'll beat it out. So that's kind of like how flicker works in beating that stuff. So like if you're like in a long fireball war, that's when you're kind of want to use heavy kick or medium kick version. And then the last one is like a vertical hitting. This is like his 3rd type of anti-air, and his heavy kick version of the flicker. And that's really good for catching people that like to jump. Where's my jump button? So yeah, it's a really good long range option whenever like you see someone trying to jump in, and you can do one of 2 things. You can do like a light flicker and then just like knock them back, or you can charge it, which I like doing, and you can do a combo. So best times to kind of use like heavy flicker is like instances where you know your opponent likes to jump in, right? You can do stuff like that to keep them honest and make them think twice of like jumping against you, because you can set yourself up into like supers with it too, so you can get a lot of good damage off of it. However, it takes a while to charge it up, and as like all the other flickers, this is 17 frames, and it's got the least amount of recovery. It has only 18 frames of recovery, which is good to know. So if you whiff it, you're not like hurt too bad.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, I found myself using it like, let's say I'm playing against someone and I try to flicker them in the corner. If I notice they like to jump it, I'll just charge the heavy, and when they jump, I'll make them eat the heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's good on that. If, like you said, if I know they're gonna jump here, if they've shown me that this is what they like to do.
Yes, exactly. The last part, or the overdrive variant, is going to be his like quick circle forward 2 kicks. That's the money maker, right? That's the one that you want because it sets you up with like a pretty nice time. Now there's 2 different juggle states. There's one when they're grounded, which you're able to get more special hits on them. And then there's the aerial. So like sometimes combos will hit them, like if you use your target combo, it puts them in an aerial juggle state, and you're not able to get as many moves or hits on them. That's just something to keep in mind. Like how they fly up changes like what moves you can do. However, there is a pretty neat little like combo that I saw Moonwalker do, and it's if you do like OD flicker, like kill rush into heavy blitz, it does a good amount of damage for 4 bars. It's a good way to like get that extra damage still out of game.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the one that you're gonna want to use. The other thing about it too is, if, for instance, say they block it, all flickers. This is just like I say this for this period, for this time. Is like all flickers on block are gonna be +4. So
Okay.
so that means you can throw out like a charge flicker, they're gonna block, and then you can throw out a medium punch on them and start your like pressure. Or you can do like a pick throw, basically. Where
Yeah.
you do it and then like grab them. Cool thing about it is it like puts you right in your close quarter area too. So one thing you can do is like, say you know your opponent likes to mash supers or whatever, you can do this into like a jab, and it'll be a true block string. And then like,
Okay.
you can only jab once though, because as we saw earlier, the light jabs are not true.
Yeah.
And like if they have a move that is 10 frames or faster, it'll punish that. So like Ed's super, for instance, frame 13 against an Ed, you can like jab them twice. If they try to level 1 super through it, you can block. Yeah. OD Flicker can only be canceled into in a handful of moves. Your heavy kick, your heavy punch, your target combo, and then your crouching medium kick. And that's off of like a just like a normal hit, not like any of the counters or whatever. So those moves, so medium kick, crouching medium kick, and heavy kick, yeah. Just kidding, it doesn't. Heavy punch, and crouching medium kick. So I like the moves that somehow
Okay.
+8. Oh yeah, that was something else I forgot to mention. Just a brief call back to heavy kick, standing heavy kick. That is his only move that's like really plus. It's +4. However, if they like crouch, it whips.
Okay. So it's a little risky in that
Yeah.
regard, because if you whiff it, I'm assuming they just get big punish on you.
Yeah. Now, if you hit him, and like it can also whiff in like combos too. So if like they are crouching, and you do like a combo, that doesn't cause them to stand, right?
Right.
Because like heavy punch force stands, you can combo into heavy kick right there. But if you like do like a medium punch into like heavy kick, it's gonna live.
Right, because you didn't force stand them before it.
Yeah. Same thing with like crouching dream kick. At certain ranges it'll lift, but like if you're right up on them, it's not enough. Anyways, back to the special moves. The other special moves are your light blitz. It's like your 1, 2, 3. You know, you got the light variant that's 11 frames. It is super cancelable only to level 3. Same thing with medium blitz and heavy blitz. So medium blitz, you can typically all of your moves can cancel into medium blitz, like that are special cancel.
Okay.
So the reason why you would, so like there's two reasons, or there's two different thoughts you can go with whenever you're like doing like a combo, right? You can go for like, oh, I want to keep them close and do like a strike throw, or I can do safe jump or kill rush and get like a little bit more threatening move than like a jab. But yeah, all of your moves that are special cancelable can combo into it. The only moves that can cancel into or combo into the heavy version is your crouching medium punch, your crouching medium kick, if I can do it properly, standing heavy punch, and then crouching medium kick, or crouching heavy kick, standing heavy kick, and your charge combo. And then it's going to leave standing opponents at +40, which means you can't safe jump, but you can kill rush and be +9. I was
Okay.
like a little late there, right? But that's something you want to keep in mind. Is like you're gonna have a lot of frames. So like off of like a heavy blitz on a standing opponent, like off of a heavy punch, you can just like loop in, or you can kill rush into like another heavy punch, which is really good. The OD version is his little like body bag combo, and that is super cancelable in 2 different parts. So there's the one where it'll catch them grounded, and like the move will hit your opponent with the level 2 without it like bouncing them up where you can jump. So like there's like a few like options you can do for that. Then there's also another cancel window where it'll knock them up, and then you can do a combo that'll get you a little bit more damage. The only time you'll typically do the OD into level 2 is when you're in the corner, because if you do the one that launches them up, they'll fall out. So like I just showed like an example of one that was like grounded and the one that knocks them up. The one that knocks them up, you can't get as much damage on them in the corner. Right. Combo. It is also level 3 as well. However, you have to hit it whenever they're like before they get knocked out.
Right.
Otherwise, this happens. Boop, and you miss it. So I did the heavy, or like the OD blitz into like super, and it whips because of them being knocked up.
I'm assuming it just goes right under them because they're knocked in the air.
Yeah, they're in the air. I mean, like sometimes, like some moves, sometimes like if they're like airborne off like a flicker, you don't have to necessarily finish with heavy blitz. You can catch them on the way down with it, but they get knocked up and they're in the air much longer than like the move is able to like hit them. So that is OD Blitz. A recent change that was made to it was it is now no longer -3, it is -4, which means it can be punished with a light, which is no fun. However, it's really good to like use it whenever your opponent's burn out, because you can get a lot of chip damage on it. Let me see. So that's another thing about burnout that I forgot to mention is when you're in burnout, any specials or supers done to you will cause chip damage. And it's going to typically be like scaled really hard. So like, yeah, it only did 250. But that's still quite a bit. And if you like see that they're like really close to dying, it's really good to like chip them out with like a level 1, or like an OD Blitz in the level 2. Because like that'll do around 2k if you do that, and then like one more special.
Okay.
But that'll be more advanced stuff to talk about later.
Yeah.
The last special, it's a command movement option. It's just going to use Kill Rush. So it is 31 frames, and it has 2 variants. It has the late Kill Rush, and it has a, which is like knocks them up that. When they're grounded, you won't be able to combo into anything off of the early one. But on the late one, you're able to like combo into like a heavy DP or like a heavy blitz or a light blitz. Now if you catch them in an aerial combo, which is like off the target combo, for example, you can hit them with the Kill Rush early and hit them with a light DP, or you could hit him with a Kill Rush late, and then hit him with like a level 1 or like a light flicker. But I personally like going for like better Oki. So that's why I like just doing heavy combo into, or target combo into heavy blitz.
Right.
But there are times when, for instance in this combo, do a light or kill rush late or kill rush early into like a medium DP for like a good corner carry combo. So there's like a few times where you'll want to differentiate between them. When it comes to being in the corner, whether it's early or late, you can still get like some good combos on if it's like off of the target combo. So like in the target combo, you can do like the target combo in the late, you can get like a decent combo in the corner. But yeah, so the thing about Kill Rush is it's 31 frames. They've adjusted his hurt box, especially on like the Kill Rush back. So like drive impacts will now hit him a lot further away, which is really sad. Because like you used to be able to like get away with it a little bit more off of like good spacing. Okay, I'll put it on the block of this. So like right here, it gets hit really far away. There's like an option that you can do to like kind of like bait people, where it's like you do a heavy punch and then do a heavy flicker. Obviously it's gonna miss, but if you see that they're gonna try to drive impact every time you use flicker, you can just do a heavy flicker, like a heavy punch, heavy flicker, and then drive impact from there. I don't do it too often because I'm just like I don't like throwing out moves that aren't gonna hit them, but it's more of like a call out. But yeah, that is Kill Rush. It's really good if like you can charge your flicker and then like go forward or back at like distance. It's really good to do that because that's a really good way of like making your opponent do something. So like they can like try to jump in and you can Kill Rush back, or if they're like closer, you can Kill Rush underneath them and then just kind of reset neutral. And it's a really good mix-up option just to kind of make them like think, oh, okay, is he charging heavy? Because the animation's the same for all of them.
Yeah.
For all of the flickers. So you were able to kind of just like mix that up. One final little special thing is you can Kill Rush cancel off of like a Psycho Knuckle. We talked about that before.
Yes.
Which is like a good way of like getting people to bait out like doing their what's it called? Let me try to get so like if they see that you are like wanting to charge it up, it can be DI'd, but if they see that you're charging it up, you can cancel it and then like catch it and counter it. It's more of like a riskier call out. That's all of Ed's moves. Other than his supers. There's his level 1, which is 13 frames. It is invulnerable to strikes and throws, but not projectiles. So as I showed you with that neat little trick with Psycho Spark in the corner, level 1s are not invulnerable to projectiles. Excuse me. And yeah, his level 2 is like the big ball of Psycho Energy. It's got 3 variants. It's got the light one, which is good for combos. It's got the heavy one that's good to like win a projectile war and apply pressure. And then there's the medium one that nobody uses. There's like a niche use for the medium one, and that's like off of like if you get like a Kill Rush light, but it's just not that good. And then finally, his level 3. There's a CA, so it's like just a CA. We'll do. It's good to know like the damage that his moves do, just like raw, right? So like his level 1 does 2,000 damage. His level 2 does, I want to say, 2,000, no, 1,100 too. It does 1,100, but because you have so much combo potential off of it. And then his level 3 raw does like 4,000. Now you can combo it off into it. You can combo into it from like heavy blitz, or like a light flicker, or not. You can do it off a light flicker. Excuse me. Yeah, that's like a very hard one to do, but you can combo into that, or you can do it at level 3 into like catching when they're coming down, or you can do that off of like a kick. There you go. That is like the first two basics of it. But yeah, with just to kind of go over like the neutral aspect of it, like briefly, Ed excels at this range with medium kick, heavy punch, catching heavy kick, and you'll want to be at about that range. But whenever you get a hit on him, you're gonna have to get in close and then start using his jabs. And that's something I want to see more from you, is like using his jabs in that close quarter range, because a lot of times I'll just see you go for like a grab or like a crouching medium kick that's a little bit too close.
Okay.
But hopefully this has been helpful. I know this is like the first one, and it's also more of like a review for a lot of the things. There's also another thing that I haven't gotten to yet that I'll show you, and that is the Ed frame data. It has this website has like all of the hit boxes and hurt boxes, as well as like his frame data, and I think it's a really good idea to just look over it some. Like, obviously you don't want to really memorize it. We didn't even go over his jumps. Whoops, excuse me. I didn't even go over his jump moves. There's not much to say. The only one the ones that really matter for me are like his heavy punch, his jumping medium kick, his jumping heavy kick, and then what's the other one? So it's like heavy punch, heavy kick, medium kick. This one isn't really that good. The only one that does any like cross up is his medium punch. So it's the only one that'll cross up, so that's important to know. Whereas like the rest of them they'll go long. It's like near impossible to land a jumping heavy kick on your opponent, but this is like a really good anti-air option. So they buffed it to where you can like now combo into it off of like an air there. So like if you catch him with like a jumping heavy kick, you can now combo it into like a light blitz, or like sometimes like a medium kick. Like if you jump and then like are landing with it and they're like jumping. It's a really good option. It's gonna be used a lot more as the meta develops. You can also do like an OD into it, and it'll combo into like the special combo, where you can like double them pretty well. But yeah, his light kick is like only used for certain safe jump setups against like Marissa and Honda, because like of like certain moves that are safer. Like Honda can like OD headbutt through like your normal target combo into safe jump. So that's why you'll use like jumping light kick. It's also good for like if you're jumping away and just like doing that to like stop someone from like hitting you off like an OT or something.
Yeah.
Kind of like an instant aerial or whatever. It's not instant, it's 8 frames, but it's like that really good range, and you can just kind of like be good for that. Yeah, that's Ed. That's the Ed basics. That's the game basics. Thank you for your time, and we'll get one of these going soon again. And it won't be as much, like we'll do some like drills too.
Right. I mean, the information's good too, right? Like it's stuff you need to know.
Yeah, because like any course that you take, there's gonna be like a intermediate, or like a remedial part of the class where you have to like learn certain things, or like these are like your baseline knowledge to know. This is kind of like that, where you'll need to know these things, that way you can formulate a better, like a sound game plan, and know like what moves puts you in like the best pokey, what moves are best on defense, and that sort of thing. As well as like being aware of like what your best options are. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense. Like it helped me think about moves that I don't use that like are good, and you were explaining why they were good, stuff like that. So
there's only like one really bad move, and that's just like this is only good for like an air-to-air, it's jumping light punch. But there's not really a lot of bad moves on Ed. It's kind of hard. I can't think of which his worst move would be. Like heavy kick's really good when it works. when you need it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't use it that much. And like his crouching light punch I should use more because it's like good for like a counter hit. You can do crouching light punch into like crouching light hit. So that's really bad. But overall, he's like all of his moves work into like overall game plan. Oh, I know what his worst move is. It is charge, flicker, kill, rush back. That's his worst move.
oh,
Yeah, because of the change that they made where they can drive impact and hit you.
okay,
Which is really stupid.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Off of like a safe normal. So like in the past, they could like drive impact off of like you charging it, and you would trip and then punish him, which made him great. But like that change alone, I think, is what made him go down the tier list. He's still solid, can still win, but it's a lot harder now.
Right, you just have to work a little harder for it.
Yeah, this concludes this portion of the coaching, and thank you all for those that watch, and I'll have more up in the future.